Good to see everybody. All right. Okay, I'm gonna figure out who's in the audience, and then I'm gonna give a little bit of some Kellyisms. I'm gonna preface this for those who didn't hear my 5-minute keynote. So I grew up in Victoria, British Columbia. I practiced law in Toronto from 91 to 98. I did banking and insolvency law. My Queen's English started to go down the shitter when I was in Toronto doing bankruptcy law. And then I moved to New York, and it has really been fucking magnified in stupendous ways. So I apologize. I will swear, and I try not to do a complete Gary V, but it will happen. So I'm going to give you some Kellyisms. Find out who you are, do some Kellyisms, and then I'm going to grab a stool and I want questions. So hopefully we got a microphone to take questions. When you have your question, this is the one time in life, God bless, you really need that goddamn elevator pitch. I hate elevator pitches, hate them, except for one time when you've got questions at an event like this. Please say who you are, what your startup is, ask your question. Don't give me a paragraph, because guess what? All your people sitting here with you don't want to hear your paragraph on what's going on. They want the goddamn question. So that's the format. Okay, startup founders. How many startup founders here? Woo! Awesome. How many people trying to avoid being a startup founder? No, just kidding. People working for startups. People looking to make a career change. Okay, if your boss is here, don't put your hand up. I get it. Okay, those of you who are founders or working in startups, startups under 5 employees. The majority of you. Okay, under 10 employees, it's still got more hands. Okay, anyone like over 15 employees? We got a few. Okay, awesome. That's all good. People working out of co-working spaces. There should be more of you. All right. Let me think. What other kinds of things? People involved in the startup ecosystem, whether it's here in Montreal or wherever you're at. Attending events, volunteering at events, organizing events. Yeah, okay. Anybody being a mentor? Good. Okay. So this is all very helpful. Here's the biggest mistake those of you in the startup community make, because this talk is on, we're going to get actionable and practical, the networks you need. Here's the network you all are overlooking. You're overlooking your peers. That's why I asked you about co-working spaces. That's why I asked you about startup events. That's why I asked you about whether you were organizing events or volunteering at events. All of you think that the person who is going to help you succeed is some muckety-muck whose name is on the firm or the VC firm or whatever. Guess what? It's not. It's your peers in the startup community. Most of the venture capitalists I know take references and interest that come through the companies they've already invested in, or perhaps the ones they invested in before, or perhaps the ones they passed on, but the startup founder was smart enough to stay in touch. Or maybe it was the investment that got away. What I have to say, and a lot of people like me, hey, Chris Freylig at First Round, met this really cool startup. He doesn't need or care about that email. It's coming through his own network. So all of you who aren't spending enough time investing in your peers, change it, starting today. The reason I asked, the size of your startups, every single one of your networks matters. Your great introduction that will help, unlock a client, open a new market, find you the next developer, it's likely kind of come through someone who's sitting next to you. At this point, in this early stage, every single network matters. So if you've got interns, their networks matter. If you have people who interned for you last year, or somebody else who's vaguely involved, all of that matters. There isn't a point right now if your startup is like, I would say this for any size company, but let's just focus on the sizes of the companies, of the people who are in this space. Every single one of you and everyone who works with you is responsible for your marketing, your recruiting, your PR, your relationship building. Every single person. It's not one person's job. It's not, oh, when we get funding, we'll have someone. No, you're doing it now. Empower everyone and let them understand that they may be the linchpin to that next, whatever it may be that you need. One story I always love, my friend Aisha Green, who is back-end developer in New York City. Aisha met me at a Women 2.0 event that I spoke at in, I think it was like January of 2012. And she and Rushane Bean, another back-end developer, came up and they said, oh, Miss Hoey, really wanted to meet you. We're back-end developers. And in my very classy way, I laughed my head off in their faces and said, that's funny. The world doesn't think you exist. 2 women, both minorities, back-end developers. They were getting offered really shitty jobs. I took it upon my responsibility to open the doors and make sure they got good jobs. So fast forward. Aisha is now back-end developer in a series, I think they're Series C or Series D funded startup in New York City. She was the first woman that they hired on the development team. I think she was the first Muslim and likely the first black. And she said to the CEO one day, I found you another woman developer. And the guy's like, oh my God, where? And she points to the cleaning lady who immigrated to the United States about 20 years ago from Romania and couldn't find a job doing what she had gone to school for, which was computer science. So a bit of a dramatic story, but it drives home the point. Everyone is responsible. Other than this, one of my great speaking gigs in the past year after my book came out was at Google. Why? Because I had an intern in 2012. Empower, encourage, ask everyone on your team to share what's going on. In terms of sharing what's going on, who's doing a regular update or newsletter to your network telling them what is happening at your startup? You know what, could you people please stand up? Because we're gonna give you a round of applause. Okay, because here's the deal. Everybody should have been standing up. Doing a regular update to your network of what is going on. You're gonna figure out what time of day you should be doing this, or what day of the week, and your frequency. This is kind of like eating your vegetables and doing sit-ups. This is like the part of my talk which really sucks. There's some stuff you've just got to do. Get your 7 hours sleep, and okay, not that one. None of us do that. Okay. People don't want you to just to show up when something great happens or when there's bad news. They want to be part of your journey. They're not going to turn on a dime because you need them right now. They're going to offer up help because they see what's going on. If you want to show some of these venture capitalists that you are someone that they should be investing in, this is part of the way to do it. By regularly sharing the story. Every single person you meet, you should say to them, by the way, I do a regular update, lets people know what's going on with our startup. Can I include you on the list? Now, some people like to put them in something pretty like MailChimp and do little graphics. I'm old school. I like to know that you guys are working your butt off on your startup, not worrying about, formatting. An email BCC'd to people that's really simple with some bullet points works for someone like me. And yes, there is a roadmap on how to do this in my book. There's also the story of Gillian Morris, who's the founder of HitList travel app. She got 250,000 downloads of her app when it went live in the App Store. Why? Because she sent a regular email update probably was about every 10 days to 2 weeks to her network to tell them what was going on. So when the day came and she said, by the way, going live in the App Store, we were all there to download it. Bring people on your journey. The 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes that you spend every day or every week, the hour it might take you to write your newsletter, that is going to produce more results satisfactorily with the outcome you want than if you're waiting for some big goddamn introduction to, like, unicorns, rainbows, doves flying, something magical to happen. The only completely random, amazing introduction I've had to someone was, yes, on a plane. And the guy happened to be a roadie for Anthrax. And he was also a fearful flyer, so he talked my ear off for 3.5 hours. It was fantastic. Everything else in my life, in my network, has happened because of those relationships. Things I would ask you all to go and do, and I ask every audience to go and do this. I want you to audit your network. I want you to take a look at who you're tapping into, who you're hanging out with, who you're relying on, and then take a big step back and go, okay, who and what am I sharing with them? One of my connections one of my good friends, he made one of his greatest connections by talking to his personal trainer. And you may say, well, it's a personal trainer. Yeah, but who are they hanging out with? So I want you to audit that network, and I want you to audit what your activities with your network. Take a look at your calendar, whatever else. Take a look at the big things, and then take a look at the little things. And ask yourself, am I sharing everything that I'm doing and what's going on with every aspect of my network? Because you don't know where that great opportunity is going to come from. It might become the intern, it might come from your barber, it might come from your personal trainer, it might come from your neighbor. You don't know. And rather than thinking, oh, they're just my whatever, oh, it's just my mom's friend, or whatever the case may be, talk about what you're doing, because you just don't know. We are sitting here in this room, but think of the complexity of your relationships. The beauty of social media. We got all that other stuff we can now kind of see behind people. You're not just sitting here as yourself, all that other stuff behind you. You want everyone on your team, and you want everyone you're interacting with to bring that all to bear on what you're doing with your startup. So take a look at your I'm going to say your calendar, take a look at your contacts, take a look at your activities. I'll start looking, saying, hey, where do I need to deep dive? And then I'd say ask everyone on your team to do the same thing. If you're all running around and mucking around in the same network, where's that going to get your company? Shake it up. When I was in law firm management and dealing with incoming associates, people were like so happy on, the diversity we had at the firm. And then we did a offsite, and we did it in a sort of equivalent of like a Myers-Briggs, sort of a personality, problem-solving kind of thing. And I remember going into the managing partner's office. It was like 4 quadrants. And I'm like, Houston, we have a major fucking problem. And the guy looks at me and goes, what's the problem? But for like literally 4 outliers, everyone in the firm, didn't matter where they came from, everyone in the firm fell in the same quadrant. I said, we've got a major blind spot here. This entire firm problem solves the same way. That's a major problem for our clients. If you're interviewing someone for your company and they piss you off, hire them. They probably think differently than you. They probably problem solve, look at the world different. They probably have different networks. Hire them. Get some diversity, shake it up. Your company, your product. The investors you pitch will thank you for that. So you're going to audit your network, you're going to audit your activities. One more thing I want you to do, and then I want your questions. Then we can really have fun. I want you to look at your calendar, and I want you to correct what really is the number one networking problem. I don't care if you look at your calendar for the last week, month, year, you pick the time period. Number one biggest networking mistake people make is the failure to follow up. And I don't mean the follow-up of, hey, thanks so much, I really appreciated the meeting, here's the deck. Not that follow-up. What's the next follow-up? How are you staying top of mind? Are you connecting with these people on LinkedIn? Are you posting regularly? When you see an article or you think of them in some way, are you sending them a note? As I like to say, have you mastered the art of sending an email that requires no response only to let this person know you might have found something valuable for them? Find someone to follow up with. And people are like, how often should I follow up? I'm like, you're the only one who knows. Send the email, send the correspondence that you would want to receive. That's the only magic I can tell you on that one. If you would feel like having a true New Yorker FU response, getting your own email, don't send it. What's the email you would want to receive? You can't ever completely manufacture something so you can guarantee somebody else's response or reaction. So control what you can control, and that's the way you make other people feel. But find the people you haven't followed up with and follow up with them. And when I say follow up, seriously, it could be looking to see whether or not you're connected with them on LinkedIn and connecting with them. I did that with a friend of mine. I went on LinkedIn and I finally paid attention to here's some people you should know. Thanks, LinkedIn. It's great. And I was like, what the hell? Why aren't Randy and I not connected? So I literally sent her that message on LinkedIn. Randy, why the hell are we not connected here? And then she texted me on my phone, and she's like, that was pretty funny, and by the way, are you available to come and speak in Pittsburgh next month? You know, little things make the difference, not how many times you've worked over your elevator pitch and how pretty is your pitch deck and all that kind of stuff. How do you make people feel? How are you keeping them informed? How are you keeping what they're doing in your periphery so you can figure out ways to be helpful to them? Wake up tomorrow and do the same thing. There's the magic. You all know it. I'm just here as sort of like your nagging mother to tell you that you need to do this. All right, on that note, let's have some questions. Questions are fun. I like questions.